Hi, in this lesson we'll discuss how you can move to the next step of the machine learning model. Remember, we've created the automatic machine learning experiment. We created the models and we explored how MLflow have used the model. Now we are in the last step, which is productionizing or production the model itself. So how to do that? So if you remember, we are here in this page where we have this model and the model parameters and model artifacts and everything in there. So you click on the top element here, was called the model. When you click on this, you'll see a button called register model, right? And this is the path of the model on the Databricks file system if you wanted to take a look. But if you click register model, now Databricks will ask you how to register a model, give it a name. So I'm going to say create new model, and I give it a model name. I call it Titanic model, or Titanic survived model. So I'm predicting the survived column inside the Titanic. So click register. So Databricks now is going to register this model in the MLflow registry inside Databricks. So which is again inside the same workspace that you are working on. So every Databricks workspace have an MLflow server running in the control plane. And this server, when you register a model, anyone who have access to this workspace can actually look up this model now. It's like a centralized place, like a centralized database for all the models that you create. Before registering, the model is just for you, like in your workspace, in your home directory. So you only have visibility as a data scientist. You are the only one who can see the model. Now by registering the model, you actually allowing others to look up this model and getting the model information from here and start producing results out of the model. Now I have registered the model, so if I click on register now, you'll see this is the model itself and it's versioned 1. And this is something you should know, is that whenever you register the model, it gets an incremental version every single time. Again, this is also to guarantee reproducibility. If you register the model exactly with the same name, you will get it incrementally added. There is lots of things here, about the input of the model. So we expect these columns as an input, and the output is the survived, right? And this is all the things that you wanted to understand. This is the schema of the model, some tags, some everything. Now, and there's pending requests. Let's answer what is pending request. Every model inside MLflow have what you call a stage, a model stage. Start with none, meaning that the model has no stage. It's like just placed inside the registry. It doesn't have a stage yet. As you can see here, there's a stage, and it's called none. In the MLflow, there is several stages that your model go through in order to be in the production stage. Starting with a staging, and then production, and then if you are going to deploying a new version, let's say version 2 coming, then version 1 will become archived. So 3 stages that you can transition your model go through. So right now it's in none stage, so I'm going to put it in a staging stage. And this will send a request. This is a request transition to stage. You just send a request to the model owner. Of course, I'm the model owner, so the request will come back to me, right? But this is like just a process that you control. If you are not the model, or if you are like the one who created the model, is like the chief data scientist, and you are a data scientist who's just meant to optimize the hyperparameter only. So after you have done, you send the request to the chief data scientist, who will then approve the model. So maybe you can cite please approve here. So this will go to the model owner again, which is me in that case. So I got the request myself. I just need to approve and say approved. So the model now is approved to go for the next stage, which is going to from the none stage to the staging stage. And this makes that if you wanted to look up this model, you will have to look up at this stage, the staging stage. Now you can do the same thing to go to production, but because I'm the model owner, I think it's already available to me here. I don't have to like request or something, so I can change to production. So this model is now in production stage. Now it's just a stage. It doesn't mean anything at this point, right? If you go here to this model, you will see we have version 1 that is in production. Its stage is production. So what we're going to do next is we have brought our model to production, meaning that the model is now live in Databricks production model. So anyone who has access to this Databricks workspace can look up the model and start predicting data. How do you do that? They can do it either manually, or if you see here, there is use model for inference button at the top. If you click on this one, you'll see there are 3 different ways where you can use the model for inference. So Databricks makes it easy for you to use the model itself to predict the data, right? So the 3 different ways that are available in Databricks, there is real time. And real time is really about when you have a machine learning model. There is a class of machine learning model that it's about sending a request and getting a response. So we call it an online or a real time machine learning model. Think about the problem. Let's say we wanted to detect fraud in credit card transaction. Someone having a website and they accepting credit cards, and then they go to the a fraud, like, you know, someone who's a fraud, he wanted to go to the credit card, use the malicious credit card and swipe it. Now the request will come to your model. So your model need to make an online decision. Okay, is this transaction legit? Is it valid? Or it's a fraud? It's a yes no decision. So it's a yeah, it's a fraud. This is an immediate response from the model while it's an online model. Some other problem, you don't really need this kind of immediate response, like a request response through an API or a REST API. You are just good enough by using collecting the data to be used for inference, and then do it at once. Think about, let's say you wanted to predict the shelf availability of your products in the next week, for example. You have a retail, you have product you place on the shelf, and you wanted to see, do we still have good enough product stock, safety stock in my shop so I can still run next week, or do I need to backfill the product? You don't really need to do this as an API request. All you can do is every day by end of business, you can do a prediction for all products at once. We call this a batch inference. So batch inference is when you do the whole thing at once. It's not really like an API with a request response kind of thing. No, the business just need every single day or end of day, do prediction for next week, or do prediction for tomorrow, or maybe do it weekly. Depends on your business use case. So this is a batch, and the online one using a REST API. There is a one in the middle, is not really 100% online, and it's not really a request, it's not really 100% request response, and it's not really a batch. We call it the streaming. And by streaming is your model will receive data frequently through a data stream. And as it receives the data, it will do the prediction and store it in a table, right? So it like do the prediction immediately and store the data immediately. It's not like request the decision and get the response. It's like another way. You get the data frequently in a stream, but rather score it and then store it in a table, so it's available for other applications inside your data ecosystem to use it for training and so on. So this is the 3 different ways where you can do inference in your machine learning model. You can use APIs as a real time. You can use streaming if it's like, data arriving too fast, but you want to store the data in the table, so for other application to use through tables. Or you can do it as a batch, and a batch in a sense that you do your prediction all at once in your machine learning model. So this is the different types and how to productionize the machine learning model, and what kind of different inference techniques available in Databricks. In the next lesson, I'm going to walk you through the batch inference and the real-time inference, so you take a look at how we can use it in Databricks. Thank you, and see you in the next lesson.